Hi, good afternoon. My name's Roland Ebert, and today I'd like to talk to you about how to finish, or to be more specific, how to stamp on the things that prevent us from finishing. Now, when I talk about finishing, what do I mean? I mean finishing your book or lead magnet or ebook that you're writing. I mean finishing creating your online course or your workshop. I mean finishing that sales letter or that launch you're working on. Finishing anything that is going to help you build your dream business. So what are the three things that you have to stamp on? Well, I call them the three horsemen of the apocalypse. So what are they? They are fear, doubt, and procrastination. And believe me, these three things, man, they trip me up every single day. They make me want to shout at the wall every day. So how do I defeat them every single day? So, the three horsemen of the apocalypse, they are that little voice that says, you ain't good enough. Yeah, the three horsemen of the apocalypse are the terror that you feel when you've been working on an idea for months and you don't knock it out the park the first time you launch it or share it with the world. The three horsemen of the apocalypse are when you want to scream at your computer or at the wall. You know, when will it get easier? Yeah, or I just want to quit. Yeah? So these are the three horsemen of the apocalypse, and we all wrestle with them on a daily basis, whether we care to admit it or not. So here's the good news. It never gets any easier. Now you might be thinking, I thought there was some good news. Now that unfortunately is the good news. The good news is that everybody upon everybody feels the same way. Everybody has to, vanquish the three horsemen of the apocalypse every single day. So just get used to it. But I'm going to share with you how I kill these demons every single day. And we're going to get to that in just a little minute. So, as I've already said, everyone has to deal with the three horsemen of the apocalypse every day. You can call it resistance, you can call it fear, you can call it doubt, whatever you want to call it, anything that stops you doing the work that you need to do, anything that stops you doing something meaningful that's going to help you build your dream business. So what does this look like on a daily basis? Distractions. So on a daily basis, this could be Facebook, it could be the news, it could be email. Pick your vice. What are the things that when you're in the middle of something and you should just be focusing, yeah? When you're in the middle of something and it gets hard, when you hit that wall and you should just walk downstairs, make yourself a cup of coffee, and then get back to it, what do you do instead? Do you immediately go, I know, I've got to look at my inbox, because I can get lost in my inbox for hours. I can lose days inside my inbox. Yeah, that is like the number one way to just kill whatever you're working on. Anything that's important, boom, it's gone. Instantly vanquished. Yeah, instantly it's just like email swallows it up. Other people, it's the news. For other people, it might be Twitter or Facebook, whatever it is, yeah? Recognize what your demon is. Because once you know what your demon is, then you can put some steps in place to counteract it, yeah? Believe me, I put a lot of barriers between me and my email inbox because I know I can lose days in there. Days. So, resistance in the form of distractions feels like swimming upstream when you start a project. Resistance in the form of self-doubt feels like running up sand dunes in the middle of the project. And resistance in the form of real-world feedback feels like getting hit by a bus when you are inches from the finishing line. So, resistance in all of its forms gets harder, a lot harder, the closer you are to the finishing line. Now, why is that? Because once you finish something, you let it go free. You put it out into the world and you get real world feedback. And real world feedback may be lavish praise that just falls on you like a beautiful, glorious waterfall. But equally, real world feedback could be deafening silence. You know, the cash register doesn't ring. You don't have a flood of people, you know, who watch your video or like your page or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And that's pretty terrifying. So it's far easier to say, I got 80% through my project. I got 90%. I got 95% of the way there. And then I got a better idea. So before the idea that you're working on actually sees the light of day, you get another idea, another more brilliant idea that steals your attention and means that you never finish anything. If that sounds familiar, believe me, I've been there. I know what that feels like. And that, my friend, is just the 3 horsemen of the apocalypse killing you inches away from the finishing line. So, what are the 3 stages of resistance? What are the predictable stages of resistance, and how can you counteract them? So, the 3 stages are starting, the middle, and finishing. So, let's look at the first one, which is starting. So, what is resistance? You know, what's the terror of getting started? You know, getting started is the most exciting and the most terrifying part of any project. It's the most exciting because, you know, it's just an idea. You haven't done anything wrong yet. It's the most terrifying because you haven't done anything wrong yet. You know, every single day I have the fear of the blank page. The blank page is perfection. And I know that as soon as I touch it, I'm going to sully it. It is no longer perfection. So how do I overcome this fear? How do I vanquish those 3 horsemen of the apocalypse every single day? Well, the one thing I know is that the faster I can get my ideas out of my head and onto the page, the faster I can get the chaos that's going on in my mind and transfer it into organized thought onto the page, the faster I can get on with the real work of editing. Because that's how you take something that's good or bad or terrible and polish it to a high shine. That is how you take what you've done and make it presentable to the world. That's how you take what you've done and you finish up with something that you go, man, that's pretty good. I'm proud of that. Yeah. So the faster I can get my ideas down onto the page, the better. If I can write 10,000 words a minute, believe me, I would be so happy that I could. I can't, just so you know. Yeah. But I just want to get my ideas down as fast as possible, and then I can edit them. And it doesn't matter whether I have to edit this thing once, twice, 10 times, 100 times. I will keep going until I've got something that I'm proud of. And that's the beauty of editing. You don't need to get it perfect first time. You don't have to let perfectionism stop you getting started. You just got to get started. And then you know how to make it perfect, how to create something that you're proud of. So whatever it is on a daily basis, just get started. Just find a way to go, you know what? I know that whatever I do, my first touch is not going to be perfect. And just accept that. And also accept that you can make it perfect through hard work, through courage. Because whenever I edit my work, I have a fountain pen filled with red ink. And believe me, the page can look like it's had blood splattered all over it. I call it the sword, my fountain pen, yeah? And I just hack through that work and there is blood splattered everywhere. And that's okay. But that takes courage, the courage to say, you know what I did first time wasn't good enough and I'm going to make it better. So how else do I start a project and keep going? Well, I am a slave to an app called Be Focused. So there's a productivity method called the Pomodoro method. So you work for 25 minutes and then you have a 5-minute break. And then you work for another 25 minutes, you have a 5-minute break. So you do this for 4 Pomodoros, if you like. And then you have a 15-minute break. And then you go back to the 25 minutes, 5 minutes, 25 minutes, 5 minutes. So this app does all the timings for me. Great. Keeps that simple. One less thing to worry about. And as I say, I live and die by this app. And why is that? Because when I don't want to get started, when, resistance is at its highest, when the 3 horsemen of the apocalypse are winning, and I start saying, oh, I'm too tired, I can't concentrate, I'm not feeling right, whatever it is, yeah, everyone's got a good excuse to not get started. All I say to myself is, write for 1 Pomodoro. Just write for 1 Pomodoro. And if at the end of that you don't want to do anything else, no problem. Just write for 1. So what do? I write for 1 Pomodoro, and I go, that hurt, but not as much as I feared. Then I write for a 2nd Pomodoro, and it's like, I'm getting into my stride. By the 4th one, I'm going, this is good, Like the 1st Pomodoro, I might write 100 words. That's hard. 25 minutes, 100 words, it's brutal. By the last one, I'm writing 600 words in 25 minutes. Like, this is easy. This is like, I'm feeling good. What's the other beauty of the Pomodoro method? It means that you take a break before you need to. You take a break before you're exhausted so that you can stay fresh, so that you can be focused and do great work. The other thing about the Pomodoro method that I find really useful is that when a ding comes in for an email, you don't immediately jump to your inbox and lose half a day. You go, you know what? That can wait because I've got 10 minutes left on this Pomodoro, and then I'm going to have a 5-minute break. And there is nothing in the world that can't wait for 10 minutes. That's great. So like I say, I'm a slave to the Pomodoro method because it makes it easy to get started, and it makes it easy to stay focused. So the Be Focused app, I've got it across all my devices. I've got it on my phone, I've got it on my iPad, I've got it on my computer, and they all sync with each other. So just download it. I think it will really, really help. So that's the first stage of resistance, the first predictable stage of resistance, which is getting started. So what's the 2nd stage? The middle. So what's the middle? The middle is when you're sailing from Liverpool to New York, and you've been sailing for half a day. So all you can see in any direction is sea. And at that point, you start to say to yourself, am I going to get to the other end? At that point, you start to say to yourself, have I bitten off more than I chew? More than I can chew, yeah? Are my eyes bigger than my belly? Can I do this? And the answer is, of course you can do this. You're just succumbing to doubt. Yeah, everybody goes through this. And how do you defeat it? How do you defeat it? Well, you defeat it with the most powerful thing in the world, which is habits. Warren Buffett talks about habits being, the chains of habits. And when you start out, they're so, they're thin like thread. And over years, they become stronger than steel. And the habit is, I will wake up every morning, before the rest of my family is awake, and I will do some focused work for 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever it is. I'll do some work, and nothing comes between me and that focused time. Whether you do great work, whether you do terrible work is irrelevant. The point is that you're there, you're doing the work. So people like, all the great writers, I say the great writers, the writers that I've read, they all talk about the muse. So Elizabeth Gilbert talks about the muse. Stephen King talks about the muse. Stephen Pressfield talks about the muse. And what is the muse? The muse is the mythological creature, the immortal creature that can sprinkle fairy dust on your work. Yeah, so like Stephen King talks about the muse as a guy. He's like, my muse is a guy. And he's the guy that sits in the corner smoking the cigars. And he talks about the fact that if you want the muse to show up, you need to, number one, have a comfortable place for the muse to sit. Yeah, it's only right that you are doing the work. You're in the uncomfortable chair. The muse can sit in the corner smoking cigars all day long. Why? Because the muse is the one that transforms your work into something truly amazing. So what else do you have to do for the muse to show up? You got to let the muse know where you're going to be. So let's go back to the habits. The habit of, I'm going to be in my office at 5 a.m. every single day. The muse knows that every single day. And as long as you're there every single day, the muse will show up. Yeah. So you've got to put in that habit. You've got to put in that effort, that dedication, that, that no matter what. Woody Allen famously said that 80% or 90% of success is just showing up. And it's easy to misunderstand that statement. The reality is what he's talking about is habits. It's that showing up every day, no matter what, no matter how bad you feel, no matter how terrified you are about the journey that you've set for yourself, the goal that you want to reach. It's showing up every single day and saying, I'm going to put in my time at the coalface. I don't care how bloodied my hands get. I don't care how much my back hurts. I'm going to put in my time and I'm going to leave tired and satisfied with my day's labor. So that's the middle. So let's move on to the final predictable stage of resistance, which is finishing. So as I've already said, resistance gets harder the closer you are to the end. Because, when you start a project, resistance is sullying perfection. When you finish a project, number one, you've proven that you can beat resistance. But number two, you then have to release your creation into the world and invite real world feedback on that creation. And, wouldn't it be great if everything we created was met with critical praise, critical acclaim, the ringing cash register that just won't stop ringing for years and, for months and years on end. It would be great if everything that we did was met with that kind of feedback. Hey, guess what? We wouldn't be afraid of trying new ideas. But guess what? We know that not everything that we create receives that kind of praise. Or guess what? We know that the first time we release something into the world, it needs to be tweaked. It needs to be improved. So we need that real world feedback to then go, right, I'm going to improve this. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to change it, improve it, make it better for the people that we want to serve. So that's a scary place to be. It's much, much easier to get 80, 90, 95% of the way through. You can see the finishing line. A late night and an early morning, and you can grab it. Your fingertips can touch it. It's much easier at that point to just get another idea, another brilliant idea, an idea that is going to vanquish everything that you've done up till that point. And why is it easier to start a new project? Because starting a new project is exciting. You don't have to get real world feedback on it, You've just got this other brilliant idea that can transform your life, and rather than see the one that you're currently working on through to completion and then have to face the music, the real world feedback music, you say, no, I'm not going to do that. That would be painful. I'm going to start a new project. Now, of course, you don't say those things consciously. It's all unconscious. It's being led by the three horsemen of the apocalypse: fear, doubt, and procrastination. Perfectionism. Anything that stops you doing what you've got to do. Anything that prevents you becoming a bigger person. Because believe me, the perfectionists, there are very few people that are perfectionists, but are also prolific. Chefs can be perfectionists and prolific. Like, you don't become a Michelin-starred chef unless you're a perfectionist. But you're also prolific. You're producing, meal after meal after meal every single day, no matter what. You're showing up. That's your habit, which is where we come back to. All of the stages of resistance, the three horsemen of the apocalypse, can be squashed by habits. The habit of showing up every day. The habit of you show up every day, no matter what, and the muse will come. If you show up every day, if you're trying to write a lead magnet or a book, or you're trying to create an online course, whatever it is, you show up every day and you keep working, no matter how much it hurts. Because, it was Ernest Hemingway that said, there are some days when writing feels like water. The words just flow and it is easy and it is beautiful. And then there are other days when writing feels like breaking rocks with your bare hands. And that's the reality. And you have to accept the good with the smooth. Yeah, the rough with the smooth, sorry. You have to accept that, when it's easy, great. Do a little dance around the room and celebrate that. And when it's hard, you know what? Grind out the day. Grind it out. Yeah? Just show up. Be committed. And then do a little dance because you finished. Because no matter how hard it was, you made that commitment to yourself, to the muse, to whoever you want to make that commitment to, and you showed up, you did your day's labor, and you left satisfied and tired. You left, being honest with yourself, honest with the work, and amazing things happen when that happens. So, how would I like to finish? Now it's your turn. So really what I want to say is, the 3 horsemen of the apocalypse, that resistance, fear, doubt, and procrastination, they kill everything and anything in their wake. And it's hard to get started. It's harder in the middle. And when you're close to the finishing line, when the finishing line is in sight, that is when they become giants. But they can be overcome by just showing up, by habits. Yeah, remember, 80% of success is just showing up. So show up every day. Show up committed every single day. And find a way to minimize that showing up. Yeah, I do it with the Be Focused app. Like I say, I'm an absolute slave to that app. And no matter how bad I feel, all I need to do is say to myself, just write for 1 Pomodoro. Because I know I will always write for more than just one. So I hope you found this useful. I hope you make just one habit where you say, yeah, you know what? I'm going to show up at 5 a.m. every day, no matter what. And I'm going to get that Be Focused app. And even if I only write for 1 Pomodoro, I can do a little dance. I can have a celebration because I've shown up, I've been committed to my goal. So I hope you found this useful. And if you know someone who, is great at what they do and struggles to get, their name out there in the market, they struggle to get their product known, they struggle to get their product in the hands of the people that can help, that they can help, then please share this with them. So if you found this useful, then please leave a comment below. And until next time, Carpe Diem.